So you might be thinking, this is a bit of a simple one today. But yeah, we're going to be making ourselves a matcha brioche loaf. So let's have a little sneak peek now. And of course, you know me by now, I don't keep it that simple. So we're going to be making that malted matcha milk custard. Wait, that's too many M's. And you know for a fact this is going to match up some perfect textures and flavours. Yeah, I know what I did there. So while I've already got your attention, if you aren't already subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And in addition, if you want to know when the videos come out, hit that bell notification. Always appreciated. So that's enough jibber jabber for me. Let's crack on with that matcha loaf. So before we start that brioche loaf, don't forget to take your eggs out for room temperature, and obviously plenty of time for your butter. It should be nice and soft. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever learn. So you see me make brioche loaf tons of times, so I'm going to whiz through this, apart from a few exceptions like the matcha. So for that Tangzhong paste, we're going to need 90 ml of milk or 6 tablespoons. In addition, we want 30 grams of plain or all-purpose flour, which is 1/4 cup. And not forgetting that pinch of salt as well. So we're going to put this onto the stove onto a medium heat, cook this out for about 5 minutes until it's nice and pasty. So once your paste is nice and pasty, but not as pasty as me, pop it into a small dish or ramekin, and then set that aside to cool down. So time for the yeasty milky mix, and we're going to need 125 ml of milk or 1/2 cup. In addition, you want 60 grams of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar, which is 1/4 cup. And before we're going to add the yeast, we're going to need to heat this up to about 35 Celsius or 95 Fahrenheit. Be careful not to get too hot, it might kill the yeast. If it's too cool, it won't proof. So make sure you get the temperature right. And that should only take you about a minute to heat up. And don't worry, if the sugar's not dissolved, it will dissolve over time. So next we're going in with 3 teaspoons of dry active yeast. And then we're going to give that a mixy mix until it's dissolved down nicely. Also, we're going to need 500 grams or 4 cups of strong white flour or bread flour. And of course, sifted. Also, we're going to need 1 pinch of salt. And in addition, we're going to need 5 grams of, how about 10 grams? Let's go with 2 tablespoons of matcha powder. Then grab your KitchenAid, and if you haven't got one, then elbow grease. Also grab your hook attachment as well. And then pop in your flour mix into the bowl without making too much mess. And then pop it onto a low speed. Next, we're going to add the yeast milk mix. Oops, forgot to put the Tangzhong paste in first, so get that straight in there. And then put it onto a medium speed and let it mix for about 2 minutes. Next, we're going to add the 3 room temperature eggs. And then we're going to let that mix for a further 2 to 3 minutes. Also, if it's looking a little bit on the dry side, add just a little splash of milk to help bind it together. I'll adjust the recipe later on. So once we've got the right consistency, we're going to need 113 grams or 1/2 cup of unsalted soft butter. Oh look, it's soft now. And we're going to add this little by little into the mix. So once it's all bound together, mix it for about 5 to 10 minutes until that dough is all bound together to the hook and it's nice and smooth. So once your dough is ready, take it off the hook and then gently take it out of the bowl and then lightly just dust with flour, not too much. And then we're going to start shaping it, using your hands to cradle it in your palms. And then you want to take it to a point where it's nice and smooth over the top. Look at that beautiful color. I know what you're thinking, it's incredible Hulk's booger, right? Then carefully place the brioche dough into a bowl and lightly dust with flour and cover with cling film and then place it somewhere warm where it's going to proof and double in size in about an hour. So while the brioche is proofing, we're going to start making that malted milk matcha custard. Maybe I can call it the custard, but far too many M's. So we're going to need 500 ml of milk, which is 2.1 cups. And before you say, what's 2.1 cups? 2 cups and a tenth, I guess? Also, we're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then we're going to pop this onto the stove on a medium heat to come up to the boil. While the milk is coming up to the boil, we're going to need 6 egg yolks. No breaks this week. Once you've got your 6 egg yolks, we're going to need 2 tablespoons of malted milk. In addition, we're going to need 1 tablespoon of matcha green tea powder. Also, we're going to need 90 grams of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar, which is 7 tablespoons. 20 grams of cornstarch or 4 teaspoons. And 20 grams of plain flour or all-purpose flour, which is 4 teaspoons as well. Then grab a whisk and whisk this up until it's nice and pasty. Or shall I say booger green pasty, right? So without boiling your milk over the stove, take the milk off and then just take a little bit of milk into the mixture, just a little at a time, and then whisk that in. And then repeat the process until you've got a nice loose mixture. This will stop it from going lumpy. Once the mixture is all incorporated, pour it straight back into the pan, and then take it back over to the stove, and then place this onto a medium heat, continuously whisking nice and gently for about roughly 5 to 10 minutes until it's thickened. And then once it's thickened, you want to leave it on the heat for a further 2 minutes just to remove that eggy taste and cook out the eggs. So once it's ready, take it off the heat, and then you want to line your tray with cling film, preferably parchment paper, but unfortunately I don't have any. And then pour your custard straight over the top. And then you just want to carefully spread that out nice and evenly. And then place another bit of cling film over the top to stop it forming a skin. So set this aside to cool down and we'll come back to this later on. So once your brioche is doubled in size, take it straight out of the bowl. And then what you want to do is very, very carefully knock the air out of it. Then lightly dust the work surface with a little touch of flour, not going too crazy. And then we want to cut this up into 8 individual portions. Now, if you want to use the scales to make sure you get every single one the same size, feel free to do so. And if you are looking for a point of reference on how much per ball, it's about roughly 130 to 135 grams each. And then what you want to do is very carefully roll your booger balls, brioche balls, using the palm of your hand and your fingers to make a nice little dome shape. Swirl it around and you should get a nice, beautiful roll ready to go. But wait, aren't we making a loaf? Just wait and see. So roll out the rest of your dough balls. So set the balls aside, and before we start making that loaf, we want to oil up our bread tin. And then what you want to do is just very carefully squeeze in the balls one at a time, and you should get all 8 inside the loaf tin. And you might want to just carefully just push them up very carefully until you have your booger balls nestled in that loaf tin. Brioche balls. And then grab yourself a small amount of that vegetable oil and brush over the top very lightly. And then just lightly cling wrap the top very gently, not too tight. And then you want to let this proof for roughly about an hour or 2 until it's doubled in size. So while that brioche loaf is proofing, we need to preheat the oven to 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. So that custard has finally cooled down, so we can actually blend this down now until it's nice and smooth. And all you want to do is blend it for about 2 to 3 minutes until it's nice and silky. And once your custard is nice and silky, pop it into a little dish so we can dip those beautiful brioche buns later on. And then cling film your custard and then pop it in the fridge to chill. So it's finally doubled in size and our green but yet plumpish brioche loaf is ready to go. So let's egg wash this little bad boy first. So once our loaf is finally egg washed, we're going to pop this in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. And as you can see, it's pretty much inflated like a hot air balloon. Well, maybe not quite that big. But anyway, we need to let this cool down for a couple of minutes before deshelling it. So I did have a little bit of difficulty getting it out of the tin. It's not a total car wreck, but if I had some parchment paper, this monstrosity could have been avoided. But I'm sure it's going to be fine. Now to finish off this green inflated loaf, we're going to brush it with some melted butter. Oh yes. And there it is. And there is our matcha green tea brioche loaf. Obviously minus the few little cricks and cracks underneath, but I'm pretty happy with it regardless. So now it's cooled down a little bit, it's still nice and warm, which is actually perfect time for eating. And of course, you would think, well, maybe we need to slice this. I guess we could, but the best way to do this right now is actually tear it from the front. And obviously not forgetting about that malted matcha custard, which we've got here set nicely. And obviously we're going to put the two together, of course. So, first bite, let's give it a shot. Wow, that beautiful sweetness and the explosion from the custard. That rich, crunchy brioche and then the soft, pillowy goodness on the inside. Yeah, it's just an absolute delight. So that's all we got time for this week, amigos. I hope you enjoyed the matcha brioche loaf and also pairing it with that malted milk matcha custard. It's a very good delight. Give it a shot, and if you want to try this out, The list of ingredients will be below in the description box, as always. In addition, if you want to subscribe, feel free to do so. Also, feel free to leave any comments, a like, dislike, whichever you prefer. Also, next week, we're going to be cooking on Twitch as per usual, Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time as per usual. But also, we will be on Twitch on Friday as well, so there will be no YouTube next week, but we will be carrying on as per usual the following week. And the reason why we're going to be on Twitch is because we had a huge amount of support from last week and we hit a sub goal, and that involves me kind of eating McDonald's. Yeah, I'm going to destroy my taste buds. But on the good side, we are going to be recreating it and with a little Halloween twist to it as well. So make sure you come and stop by and check us out. But until next time, folks, stay safe, happy, and awesome.